Hey guys, I'm here with Kaylee. Kaylee, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about being content with being single.
So you're saying that you're single?
I am single, yes, yep.
All right, now are you content?
For the most part, yeah. That's something I took a long time to work at, but I am now.
Yeah, what kind of person do you think we're talking to with this particular topic?
Yeah, so I think this is just kind of for the person that feels pressure either from themselves or their family or their friends to be in a relationship because everyone around them is.
Mm-hmm. And you felt that pressure before?
Yeah, I've kind of always been the single friend growing up. My friends were always in relationships, and now I'm at a place in my life where a lot of them are getting married or jumping into really committed relationships, and so it's really easy to feel pressure in that moment.
So help me understand this. So before, when you were 13 and all your friends just had a bunch of girlfriends, it was no big deal. But as they start dating other guys, is that a pretty normal thing that's when you start feeling more and more pressure?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very easy in that time of your life to feel like you have to be in a relationship. You almost feel inadequate if you're not because everyone else around you is, so why can't you be? Why can't you find someone? And so I think that's something that, really commonly happens just throughout the years of your life, especially for girls who are always just kind of comparing themselves to each other. It's really easy to be like, okay, well, if she has a boyfriend, why can't I have a boyfriend?
So what's the danger then? Like, what's the warning here, right? If you're not content, what could happen, I guess?
I think that if you're not content, in yourself and in your singleness, it can cause you to kind of push boundaries. It can cause you to grow desperate and kind of be willing to just, kind of lower your standards and just be willing to do things that you otherwise wouldn't just because you want that relationship.
Because you're desperate? Almost?
Desperate. I think another good way to put it was just like vulnerable. You're kind of vulnerable to these lonely emotions you feel or just like the expectations you put on yourself, and it can cause you to kind of push farther than you should in a relationship.
Yeah, that's good. So what's, from a biblical point of view, for all the young men or young women watching this, I'm sure this really resonates with a lot of people because in my mind there are people who just always need a boyfriend or girlfriend. And there are people who don't ever seem to be bothered. Like it's okay. Yeah. They're not too worried about that. Which one on the spectrum, which one would you classify yourself as?
I'm probably more on the side that isn't too worried about it.
Yeah.
But there have been times when I felt like I need that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't want that, I feel like I need that because everyone else has that.
Yeah, so you have pressure. Friends are putting it on you, you're putting it on yourself.
You always get the question at family gatherings, oh, so you talking to anybody? You seeing anybody? And, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
And that is just, I don't know, kind of...
I think maybe we'll do another video on how to respond to that question. Because I'm sure you've got some good packaged responses.
Oh, I'm sure I do.
But for this video, what would you say then to someone who is watching this, who senses this, who feels this kind of pressure? Maybe they've never even considered that they don't need to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend right now. What would you say to that person?
Well, I'd say find contentment in God. God really is the only one that can fulfill, the feelings of loneliness, the feelings of, just despair you might feel by not being in a relationship. And a verse I like to come back to is Psalm 37:4. And it's just, kind of take delight in the Lord and he'll give you your heart's desires. So if you're not really content in God and you're not content in your singleness, you're not going to be content in a relationship. And that's something that can, breed a lot of, just angst in a relationship. And it can cause those relationships just to not be fulfilling, not to be, to not be glorifying to God's kingdom. And so just, spend time with God, spend time with yourself. Don't be in a rush to step out and find a boyfriend or find a girlfriend because in the end, that's not what is going to be fulfilling for you.
Yeah, I think what you said is really good. If you're not content before you date, then you won't be content after you date. I mean, how much pressure are you putting on that boyfriend or girlfriend or future spouse? We say this to people in marriage counseling all the time is, hey, listen, you can't look to the other person to be everything to you. You've got to learn to have a relationship with God and find peace and satisfaction and wholeness and joy and all these other things.
Yeah.
And then when a relationship is added to that, it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like if you, start off on the wrong foot, you can set up expectations for your significant other that they aren't going to reach. Whether it's an expectation that you came up with just by observing someone else's relationship, or, just even beforehand coming into it thinking that there's a certain way a relationship should be. And if it's not that way, then it's not good. And so I think that when you go into a relationship, when you aren't content with your singleness beforehand, it can cause a lot of that, and it can just cause a lot of despair because they aren't meeting your expectations, or they aren't, the person you imagined or wanted them to be. And so I think that is, it can breed a lot of toxicity in relationships if you don't become content with yourself through God first.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kaylee, that was an awesome topic.
Thank
so
you.
much to talk about here. So use the questions below. We'll put some more scriptures and some other related topics below. Talk about this with a mentor or a friend, and find your contentment in God. Don't look for it in somebody else. You can be content even as a single person. Kaylee certainly is. We'll see you in the next video.